If Arsenal fans judge Ødegaard like a normal number 10, they may be judging the wrong player, because Ødegaard is not just there to play the final pass, he is not just there to chase goals, and he is not just there to look spectacular in highlight clips. He is the player who helps Arsenal control the match, the tempo, the angles, the pressure, the pass before the pass. But this is where the case becomes dangerous. If Ødegaard is the controller, then Arsenal need killers around him. Players who turn control into punishment, players who turn territory into goals, players who make all that possession hurt. So maybe the real problem is not Ødegaard. Maybe the real problem is what Arsenal are asking Ødegaard to be. Today, we open the case file. Ødegaard is not the Arsenal problem fans think, but if Arteta builds the wrong attack around him, Arsenal could still create one. Now let's be clear about the case. This is not about pretending Ødegaard has no flaws. That would be lazy analysis. He can still improve his final pass. He can still be more ruthless around the box. He can still take more responsibility in moments where Arsenal need the killer action. But the mistake is judging him only by that. Because Ødegaard's value is not just in the final moment. It is in the build-up before the final moment. The tempo he sets, the pressure he absorbs, the angles he creates, the way he helps Arsenal move from control into attack. That is why the role debate matters. If fans expect him to be Kevin De Bruyne or Bruno Fernandes every week, they may be comparing him to the wrong type of player. Ødegaard is closer to a control midfielder, a rhythm player, an all-phase connector. So the real question is not, why is Ødegaard not always the killer? The better question is, do Arsenal have enough killers around the controller? And this is where Arsenal have to be careful, because if they misunderstand Ødegaard, they can misunderstand the whole attack. The easy criticism is to say he should always be the final action player. More goals, more assists, more killer passes. And yes, Arsenal need more of those moments from him. But if Ødegaard's main value is control, then asking him to be the controller and the killer every week creates a different problem. You end up demanding two jobs from one player. Control the rhythm, then finish the move. Set the tempo, then provide the final punch. Help Arsenal breathe under pressure, then be the player who destroys the opponent at the end of it. That is a heavy job description. So the smarter question is not whether Ødegaard should do more. The smarter question is whether Arsenal have built enough around him. If he gives you control, who gives you the damage? If he moves the opposition, who attacks the space? If he creates the platform, who delivers the punishment? Because control without enough killers can look beautiful, but still leave Arsenal searching for the final blow. This is where the squad building question becomes bigger than Ødegaard, because if Ødegaard is the platform, Arsenal cannot keep judging the platform as if it should also be the punch. That is the wrong frame. A platform gives you control. It helps you move the opponent. It helps you manage pressure. It helps you arrive in better areas. But once Arsenal arrive there, someone has to make the moment hurt. That is where the attack around Ødegaard becomes the real case. Saka gives Arsenal threat, but he cannot be the only reliable final third answer. The left side has to punish teams when space opens. The striker has to turn service into goals. The midfield around Ødegaard has to offer runners, not just circulation. Because if Arsenal have control but not enough damage, fans will look at Ødegaard and ask for more final action. But maybe the question should be different. Maybe the issue is not that Ødegaard does not give Arsenal enough control. Maybe the issue is that Arsenal have not always turned his control into enough punishment. Now this is where the transfer window becomes part of the case. Because if Arsenal want more final action, the answer is not simply to demand a different Ødegaard. That is too easy. The real question is what Arteta builds around him. If Ødegaard gives Arsenal tempo, then the attack needs players who turn that tempo into chances. If he moves the opposition, Arsenal need runners who attack the gaps. If he helps Arsenal control territory, Arsenal need finishers who make that territory count. That is why links to more direct attacking profiles matter, not because Ødegaard is failing, but because Arsenal need different types of danger around their controller. A wide forward who can beat a man, a left-sided attacker who can punish space, a striker who can finish the move, a midfielder who can arrive in the box. That is how control becomes damage. So the question is not whether Arsenal need Ødegaard to become someone else. The question is whether Arsenal have built enough around him, so he does not have to be everything at once. And this is where Arsenal must be careful in the market, because if Ødegaard is already giving you control, then adding more control does not automatically solve the attack. It may make Arsenal cleaner, it may make Arsenal calmer, it may make Arsenal better at keeping the ball, but does it make them more ruthless? That is the question. Because the next version of this team cannot just be about dominating territory. Arsenal already know how to control games. The next step is turning that control into fear. When Ødegaard sets the tempo, someone has to attack the space. When Ødegaard moves the opposition, someone has to arrive in the box. When Ødegaard gives Arsenal the platform, someone has to finish the job. That is why this case matters. If Arsenal keeps surrounding the controller with players who only help control, then the same criticism will keep coming back to Ødegaard, not because he is the problem, but because the attack around him has not been built to punish enough. So the transfer question is not simply, who is a good player? It is, who makes Ødegaard's control more dangerous? And this is the trap Arsenal must avoid. If the attack does not have enough final third punishment, the criticism will always come back to Ødegaard. Why did he not play the killer pass? Why did he not shoot earlier? Why did he not arrive in the box? Why did he not produce the moment? Some of that criticism can be fair. A captain, a creator, and a senior player has to carry responsibility. But if Arsenal make Ødegaard responsible for control and damage at the same time, then the role becomes too heavy, because he cannot be the tempo setter, the pressure controller, the chance maker, the box arriver, and the finisher every week. That is not squad balance. That is dependency wearing a different shirt. So the answer is not to protect Ødegaard from criticism. The answer is to define the job properly. If he controls the game, Arsenal must give him players who make that control hurt. If he moves the opposition, Arsenal must give him players who attack the gaps. If he builds the platform, Arsenal must give him players who finish the case. Because if they do not, fans will keep asking Ødegaard to be everything, when the real issue is that the attack around him is not dangerous enough. So what should Arsenal actually do with Ødegaard? Not reduce him, not move away from him, not pretend his control is less important. That would be a mistake. The answer is to make his control more useful. Because when Ødegaard sets the rhythm, Arsenal need runners attacking the spaces he opens. When he pulls opponents towards the ball, Arsenal need the left side ready to punish the gap. When he helps Arsenal control territory, Arsenal need the striker and wide players to turn that territory into shots. That is how the role becomes clearer. Ødegaard controls the platform, the attack around him delivers the punch, and that is why Arsenal's squad planning matters so much. If they add players who only make the team calmer, cleaner, and safer, the same question will come back. Where is the damage? Where is the final action? Where is the player who turns pressure into goals? Because Ødegaard can help Arsenal dominate the match, but Arsenal still need enough players who can end the match. So what should Arsenal actually do with Ødegaard? Not reduce him, not move away from him, not pretend his control is less important. That would be a mistake. The answer is to make his control more useful. Because when Ødegaard sets the rhythm, Arsenal need runners attacking the spaces he opens. When he pulls opponents towards the ball, Arsenal need the left side ready to punish the gap. When he helps Arsenal control territory, Arsenal need the striker and wide players to turn that territory into shots. That is how the role becomes clearer. Ødegaard controls the platform, the attack around him delivers the punch, and that is why Arsenal's squad planning matters so much. If they add players who only make the team calmer, cleaner, and safer, the same question will come back. Where is the damage? Where is the final action? Where is the player who turns pressure into goals? Because Ødegaard can help Arsenal dominate the match, but Arsenal still need enough players who can end the match. So this is where the verdict starts to form. Arsenal should not be trying to turn Ødegaard into a completely different player. That would be the wrong lesson. The smarter move is to make the player he already is more damaging, because if Ødegaard gives Arsenal control, then the attack around him has to make that control count. More runners beyond the ball, more threat from the left side, more box arrivals, more clean service into the striker, more players who can turn one good Arsenal spell into one decisive moment. That is the standard, not just cleaner possession, not just safer circulation, not just looking comfortable for longer periods. Arsenal have moved beyond that. Now the question is whether their control scares opponents enough, because when Ødegaard helps Arsenal dominate the rhythm, the next action cannot always be another recycle. It has to be a punch, and if Arsenal can build that around him, then fans may stop asking why Ødegaard is not doing every job, and start seeing what his real job makes possible. So here is the verdict. Ødegaard is not the Arsenal problem fans think. The problem is not that he controls games. The problem is not that he sets tempo. The problem is not that he helps Arsenal breathe under pressure. Those are strengths. That is the role. But if Arsenal ask him to be the controller, the chance maker, the runner, the finisher, and the killer every week, then the job becomes too heavy. That is not how a balanced attack should work. So the ruling is clear. Arsenal do not need to turn Ødegaard into a completely different player. They need to make the player he already is more damaging. If he controls the rhythm, runners must attack the spaces. If he moves the opposition, the left side must punish the gaps. If he builds the platform, the striker must finish the move. If he gives Arsenal territory, the attack must turn that territory into fear. That is the real case. Not whether Ødegaard is good enough, not whether he should escape criticism, but whether Arsenal have built enough final third punishment around his control, because control without damage can look clean, it can look calm, it can even look dominant. But the next Arsenal attack has to be more than clean. It has to hurt teams. And if Arsenal get that right, fans may stop asking Ødegaard to be everything and start seeing exactly why his real job matters. Case closed. If you want Arsenal analysis that looks past the headline and follows the evidence, this is exactly what Cannon Casefile is built for. The next case is already open.